Should I homeschool? That is a question that we're going to answer today. And I think by the end, you're going to really know in your heart if you should homeschool or not. Um, Hi, I'm Nancy Marie Peterson. I've been a homeschooling mom for 20 years. I have 6 kids. I have 5 that have graduated and I have 1 left to homeschool. And when I look over this journey of homeschooling, if you'd have told me, 21 years ago, I'd be a homeschooling mom and I would graduate 5 kids out of the homeschooling avenue, I would have thought, I don't think so. You got the wrong girl. Because we kind of stepped into homeschooling a little bit different. I was an educator, I was a teacher, and I really felt like when my youngest went to kindergarten, I would go back to school and they would go to the same school I taught at, would do public, and everything would be perfect. I had this whole plan. And God really hijacked my plan and he derailed it, and it was so much better than I could have ever imagined. But it was harder than I ever could imagine. So we started this journey when my daughter went to 1st grade and my twins were about to go to kindergarten, and it was just a different learning environment. And I thought, I know I could do better. I know I could teach, especially my son. He learned different. He was a boy and he wasn't going to just sit at a desk. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to just homeschool. I'm going to homeschool just a few years and then I'll put him back in. So we did that. We homeschooled a few years, and a few years became a few more years, and a few more years, and a few more years. So if you're asking, how do I know if I should homeschool or not? Or should I homeschool? And why should I homeschool? I don't know. I hear a lot of people doing it and it seems good for some families, but I don't know if I have what it takes. Should I homeschool? This is what I want to ask you. What is God telling you to do? What do you hear whispering in your heart, in repeated and echoing from other areas that you know? Most often we know what we're supposed to do. We know in our heart, but we either want someone to tell us no, and so we don't have to do it, or we're scared of saying yes to it. And if you're asking it and you push play and you're watching this, I can almost positively tell you, I think God's calling you to homeschool, because you wouldn't be here if he wasn't. And so why should you homeschool? Let me tell you some of the benefits of homeschooling. I've homeschooled 20 years. I have been through the thick. I am not telling you to homeschool and I had 1 or 2 kids and we're like teaching 2nd grade and I haven't gone all the way through. I've done the whole thing all the way through, and I can look back and I see a closeness of our family. I see a bond. I see a uniqueness. I see a value of relationships between my adulting kids and myself. They value what we have to say as parents. They come to us and they see us as bearers of truth, because I taught them who put the stars in the sky, but I also taught them how do they shine? How far away are they? I taught them biology and math and how to read and write. And so I became the bearer of wisdom, of education, so they could trust me. If they could trust me to learn how to read and write and do all these different things, they could trust me with the holy realm. Then when I tell them who God is and the faithfulness that he is to us. So when I think of the benefits of homeschooling, it so outweighs how hard it is and the commitment to it. Now, I'm going to be straight up honest with you. It's a huge commitment. I thought, I was an educator. Piece of cake, I could totally homeschool. The truth is, it was way harder than I thought it was going to be, but I fell in love with it way more than I could have ever imagined. I thought the idea of spending all day with my kids, just me, pouring in every piece of information into them over and over again, I think I would have, if you had told me I was going to go the whole way through, I would have panicked at the beginning. I would have thought, no. God was so good to me. He just told me one step at a time, one day at a time. And that's what I want to say to you. 1 year at a time. Just take it 1 year at a time. Look and see where he guides you. I fell in love with so many good books out there that really brought value to homeschooling. And I just want to share just a few of those with you right now. I'm going to start at the very top. I'm going to talk about the spiritual value. The spiritual value, you have time in your day to actually calmly, methodically pour truth and God's wisdom into your kids. That, beyond anything else, is the most important thing you will do as a mom, as parents, as godly guiders of the faith. You're your legacy for the next generation. So that is by far the most important thing that I think homeschooling offers. The next thing is they really do get a valuable education. Even if you're not the wisest person, or you barely passed high school, or whatever your limitations you feel educationally, there are so many resources out there. You don't really have to know everything. You just need to know one step ahead, or you learn with them and you grow with them. It's okay to outsource a few things if you have to. When we got into math, when they got into high school, I outsourced math to teaching textbooks. And this year we're doing Shortman math. I mean, there's lots of different resources. Now, I'm not an advocate of outsourcing all my homeschooling So they sit in front of a screen. I don't want them to learn in front of a screen. I want them to learn real life interactions. That's just my conviction. You can homeschool however you want, but I want to be a part of that education. So beyond the spiritual, they do really get a good education. And my kids will tell you over and over again, you'll hear them say, one of the best things I got out of homeschooling was learning how to be resourceful, was learning how to learn myself. When my kids entered college, they got to college, and I was honestly nervous. I thought, oh, okay, this is a test for me now. Did I fail them? Are they equipped? Will they be able to handle all this education in the real world? I was panicked. And it was like I was, for the first time, getting my report card as a homeschooling mom. And I have to tell you, they did great. Now, was there some classes that were harder than others and they had to adapt? Absolutely. It wouldn't have mattered if they were homeschooled or in the public school. They still would have struggled with some of those parts of college. But overall, they learned how to be resourceful as a homeschooler. So when they got into the classroom and they could figure things out, when the teacher said, the kid's got a bunch of stuff wrong, and she said, and my daughter got it right. And she said, well, how did you know that? She says, well, I read the book. And everybody's like, what? You read the book? And she just assumed everybody read the book because that's what was an expectation as a homeschooling child, that you read the material. My kids actually excelled in college. They did really well. They didn't do, well, some of them got 4.0s the whole way through. They were able to be just as ready, just as equipped as any other child, and they were homeschooled. Yes, I have a degree in education. I have a master's in education, but it's less about me because there are moms who barely got through high school with a GED that have a brilliant, smart mom that barely graduated from high school, but kids are brilliant and smart and are just as ready for anything that God has for them ahead. So not only do they spiritually get such a depth from you, they also academically can thrive and can do amazing things. So not limited. If you do homeschooling well and you do it right and honorably, you will reap those benefits. Now, I know there's homeschoolers out there that you probably met that kids don't do very well and they're not very social, they're not very smart, and they don't know how to study. That isn't homeschooling. That is a mother who maybe slacked off or didn't take it serious or didn't have the resources she needed or didn't realize what she was up against. That's not the norm. The average homeschooling mom is going to do her best because you want your child to succeed. You want your child to be equipped and ready for whatever God has next to them. So you're going to be diligent. Now, I wasn't like this diligent every day. There were days we messed up. There were days that I got tired. There were days that I was throwing up for 3 months because I was sick, pregnant. But there were so many more years of growth and learning how to figure out resources and learning how to study yourself and growing in that capacity. So those are part of the things that are so amazing with homeschooling. When you hear the social part, because that used to be the thing, well, you won't have social kids. That's not true at all. The truth is, most of these homeschool kids in the real world do better. They have better resources. They have better talking skills of how to handle adults and people of different ages. They're not only able to talk to kids their exact age, they're able to talk to kids who are younger and older and adults. And that myth has been debunked for a very, very long time. So just wipe that one out. If you're really not sure about it, if you even quickly do a Google search, there are so many resources that have debunked that myth about the social thing. Now, I have to say, my 5th child is in college right now, and she still has friends in college that are saying, well, you were homeschooled or this or that. Not every homeschooler is like you. You know, you're just different. The truth is, a child is going to be very much like their family's environment. If they come from I don't want to say a weird family, but if they come from a maybe socially not as in tune family, they probably won't be as socially in tune. If they come from a social family that has their kids in a youth group and has their kids active in different things and sports and activities and whatever it would be, those kids are going to be fine. And your kids are going to be fine. So don't even worry about the social thing because that will naturally play out if you allow them to be in a setting and don't just hover them in your house and do nothing and pull out of them tight. That's not what you're going to do anyway. So don't even worry about that. The parts of homeschooling that are so valuable, the social, the academics, they're actually scoring off the charts, and the social has been debunked. So if you're wondering right now, should I homeschool? I think you should, because you already have it in your heart. You want to push this video play. You wouldn't have been listening this long to know, to try to decide this. For me, back in the day, I wanted someone to say, no, you shouldn't homeschool. And I'd be like, okay, good. I didn't want to homeschool anyway. You're probably doubting, can you homeschool? And I can tell you, you can homeschool. You just need to be prayerful. You need to find good resources. You need to find others that have gone before you and have done this journey and glean wisdom from them and find out what did they do and how did they make it work. Go to homeschool conferences and get more information, get more encouraged and equipped, because this path you're on, I think God's calling you. This is the video for you. This is where he wants to talk directly to you, Mom, to you who's questioning this avenue. Yes, maybe you've heard some success stories. Maybe you've heard some that weren't so successful and you're like, I don't know what to do. I can tell you from our personal experience, it has been the most amazing journey we've been on. It's being faithful to God's calling. If you feel like he's calling you, step out in obedience. Step forward, do it just 1 year and then the next year and see where he leads you. Be diligent, prayerful. Keep watching videos like this one, and there's so many more on the internet. Just get information and just keep going down the path that God has already placed you on. Don't doubt it. Don't analyze it to its umpth degree. Step back, take a deep breath, and ask the Holy Spirit, am I to homeschool? Do you want me to homeschool? Stop and ask that question, and then sit quiet. And if you know in your heart that that is what you're supposed to do, go for it. Get the information you need, do more research, find a basic curriculum and get started. There's so many resources out there, and get moving. Sometimes you're scared to tell people. You're like, I don't want to tell people because if I tell people I'm homeschooling, they're going to think I'm weird, or maybe your social circle isn't as accepting of it. The only person that matters is the Holy Spirit and the calling that he has for your family. Because at the end of the day, that's what needs to be walked out, is the calling that God has placed on you as a mom. And that is obedience. And if you feel like God is calling you, you've got to be obedient. You got to just walk it out. So hopefully I have helped alleviate that question. Should I homeschool or not homeschool? There are very few people that I say, yeah, you probably shouldn't homeschool. You know, if you're an attentive mom, if you love your kids, if you feel like God is calling you to do it, the answer is yes, you do it. I'm so excited. This journey will be beautiful and amazing and hard and challenging, and it will stretch you so thin and you will doubt that you're doing the right thing, and that's okay. It's all parts of the process. But at the end, when you look back, and as I look back over my kids and I see what amazing human beings they are, they love God and they serve him. And we have this really amazing, beautiful relationship. I would say 100% it's worth it. And if you're wondering, it is worth it. So jump in, go for it, go all in, and trust God. He is faithful. When you ask him, he will equip you. As always, stay intentional and check out more videos from me that will help you on this journey, because it is a journey and you take one day at a time, but you will be so amazed at what the faithfulness and the truth that God will pour into your family. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.